All right, so get this. Today we are going like deep, deep into Google App Engine.
Oh,
We are
nice.
going to be figuring out what it is, what it offers to developers, and why it might just change, like totally change how you think about building web applications.
I love it.
And to like take us through this deep dive, we've got a whole bunch of material straight from the source Google Cloud.
Yeah, it is a treasure trove. We have a lot to get through.
So let's start with like the big question. What is Google App Engine?
Yeah.
Why is it like, why is everyone talking about it in the development world?
It's all about making things easier. The complex world of web development.
Okay.
You can think of it as this platform where you can build and run websites and applications without having to, become an expert in servers and all of that.
So it takes care of all that like behind the scenes stuff that makes a developer's life really hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like the server management, scaling, maintenance, it's like having an IT team just handling all of that for you.
Oh,
You get to just focus on coding and designing and building your application.
that sounds amazing.
It is.
Is that what they mean by like zero server management?
That's the core of it. And what's really cool is that like that zero server management, it doesn't like restrict you.
Oh, okay.
App Engine supports a lot of popular programming languages like Python, Java Go,
Oh, nice.
even PHP.
Wow.
So you don't have to learn a new language. You can stick with what you know.
Yeah, that's great for developers.
Totally.
And I know App Engine has all these cool features, but like, what are the ones that really stand out? What's like the big deal?
Well, let's talk about versioning.
Okay.
Now, a lot of platforms offer version control, but App Engine really takes it to the next level.
Okay, so what makes App Engine's versioning so special?
Well, think about A/B testing.
Right.
Testing different versions of your website or app to see which one does better with App Engine.
Yeah.
You can just create and manage different versions of your app so easily and deploy them next to each other.
Wow.
And you can see the data to see which version is doing best with users.
So it's like way more than backups. It's about like making your app better, making decisions with data.
Exactly. And it ties back into that like core value of giving developers the freedom,
Yeah.
to experiment and try new things without worrying about breaking the app
Nice.
or like ruining the user experience.
So we've got the zero server management and the super versioning. What else is there?
Well, let's talk about diagnostics.
Okay.
It can be so frustrating trying to find a bug or trying to figure out why your app is so slow.
Yeah.
Well, App Engine has these awesome diagnostic tools that give you real-time insight into like how your app is performing. It's like having X-ray vision into your code. You can see exactly what's happening.
Wow.
Where the holdups are and what needs fixing.
So it's not just about finding the errors. It's about like
Yeah.
understanding why they're happening so you can fix them faster.
Yeah, exactly. And that can make a huge difference in stopping those like downtimes
Right.
and making your app run better.
Okay. Diagnostics check. What else is on the list?
Let's talk about security.
Sure.
These days security is so important.
Yes.
And App Engine has these built-in security features that are really impressive.
I'm always like a little bit suspicious when someone says secure by default, you know?
Right.
Like, what does that actually mean?
Well, this time it's not just hype. We are talking about like multiple layers of protection.
Oh, okay.
Starting with the infrastructure itself, Google's data centers are like super secure.
Okay, so the physical places are secure.
Yeah.
What about like the app itself?
Yeah, so App Engine's got that covered too. They offer these identity and access management tools so you can control exactly who has access to your application.
Okay.
You can even control what parts they have access to.
Oh, that's nice.
So only the people who need certain information can see it.
Yeah.
So unauthorized access is prevented, but you can also control who can do what within the app.
Okay.
And on top of all that, don't forget about things like SSL certificates for secure connections. App Engine manages those automatically.
Really?
Yeah, it's a huge time saver. Wow.
And it makes sure your data is protected with like the best encryption available.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like App Engine really has security under control.
It really does.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the security features and all that, but what about when your application like blows up and you've got like millions of users?
Right.
How does App Engine deal with all of that?
That is where App Engine's automatic scaling is like the best.
Okay.
It can adapt to all that extra traffic.
Wow.
So if you have a ton of users all of a sudden,
Yeah.
App Engine will start up more instances to handle it all.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a bunch of servers just waiting to go.
Yeah, exactly. And then when all the traffic dies down,
Mhm.
those extra instances just shut off so you aren't wasting resources and money.
So it saves you money.
Yeah,
And it means your app can handle anything.
pretty much.
Wow. Okay, we mentioned earlier that App Engine supports lots of programming languages.
Yeah. But I'm wondering about like how it works with all the different like frameworks within those languages. Like, let's say I'm a Python developer and I love using Flask.
Right.
Will I have to like change everything to make it work with App Engine?
Not at all.
Oh, good.
App Engine works really well with popular frameworks like Flask,
Yeah.
Django,
Yeah.
Spring Boot,
Okay.
all kinds of them.
So I can keep using what I know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to start over from scratch.
That's great.
Yeah, you can just keep using what you're good at.
Okay, so we've got the scaling, we've got it working with frameworks. What about vendor lock-in? That's a big thing for developers.
Is it?
What's App Engine's take on all that?
Yeah, Google gets it. They know developers want flexibility.
Yeah.
So while App Engine has a lot to offer, it also likes to keep things open.
Okay, so it's not like a closed system where you can't leave.
No, not at all. For instance, App Engine supports using Docker,
Right.
which means you can package your application into a container that you can take anywhere.
So I'm not stuck. If I want to move my app later, I can.
Google knows that developers need to be able to adapt.
That's great to hear.
Mhm.
It seems like App Engine gives you all the features, but still lets you keep your options open.
That's the goal.
Now let's talk about data storage. Where does all the information go?
Right.
What are the options?
Well, App Engine gives you choices depending on your needs.
Yo.
If you want a normal relational database,
Yeah.
you can use Cloud SQL.
So that's for people who need that structured data
Yeah,
in a relational database.
exactly. And it supports popular database engines too,
Oh, okay. Like what?
like MySQL and stuff,
Oh,
PostgreSQL.
wow. So many options.
Yeah, you've got choices.
What about for people who aren't using relational databases? Like what if they need a NoSQL solution?
Right. Well, in that case,
Yeah.
you can use Cloud Firestore.
Okay.
It's super flexible and great for handling all different kinds of data.
So it doesn't matter what I'm building.
Yeah,
There's a data storage solution for me.
that's right. And if you need a really fast key value store,
Yeah.
you can always go with Cloud Data Store.
So there's really something for everyone.
There is.
We were talking earlier about the standard environment.
Wait.
What exactly is that? What's special about it?
Well, the standard environment uses something called sandboxing, which means
Oh,
each instance of your application runs in its own like isolated little box.
okay. So they can't mess with each other.
Exactly. And that makes it way more secure and stable.
So if one app has a problem,
Yeah,
it doesn't take down everything else.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's really good for applications that need to be up and running all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any downsides to the sandboxing?
Well, there are a few limitations, like you can't write directly to the local file system
Oh, okay.
or make random network connections.
So it's more secure,
Yeah,
but a little less flexible.
that's the trade-off. But Google gives you other ways to do those things.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a dead end.
It's just a different way of doing things.
Right.
So for a lot of apps,
Yeah.
the standard environment is a good choice.
It is?
We've got the standard environment with sandboxing,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's the flexible environment.
Right.
When would you use that?
Well, the flexible environment is for when you really need to be in control.
Yeah.
You know,
Ah.
it runs your application in a virtual machine,
Okay.
and you have root access, so you can do pretty much anything you want.
Oh, wow.
You can install any software, configure it all yourself.
So it's like having your own server.
Kind of, but you still get all the good stuff from Google managing the infrastructure.
That's really cool. Are there any downsides?
Well, you are responsible for more of the management yourself,
Okay.
like security updates and all that.
So you get more control, but more responsibility.
Yeah, you got to choose what's right for you and your team.
Now, what about if you want to move your existing app to App Engine? How hard is that?
It can be a big job, but Google has lots of guides and tools to make it easier.
Oh, okay. So they help you move everything over.
They do. The important thing is to really check your app first.
Yeah.
Make sure there aren't any compatibility issues.
So it's like moving to a new house.
Yeah, kind of. You need to plan ahead.
And Google has tools to help.
They do. They can even automate some parts of the process.
Oh, wow. That's a lifesaver.
Yeah.
And if I get stuck, there's the whole Google Cloud community to help me.
Yeah, they're super helpful.
Okay, now what about keeping an eye on my app after it's up and running?
Right.
How do I know everything is working okay?
Well, App Engine integrates really well with Google's monitoring tools.
Okay.
You get real-time information on how your app is doing.
So I can see if there are any problems.
You can, and you can also set up alerts so you know right away if something is wrong.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's like a security system for your app.
That's a good way to put it.
And you can use all that data to see how to make your app even better.
So I can keep my app running smoothly and make sure my users are happy. All right, so we've looked at a ton of App Engine features,
Oh.
from scaling to security to data storage.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I think it's time to see how it's used in the real world.
I agree. It's always good to see how things work in practice.
So let's say we are building an online shopping site.
Okay.
Where does App Engine fit in?
Well, App Engine could be like the whole foundation of your e-commerce platform.
Wow.
They can handle like everything, the storefront, the orders inventory, even those personalized recommendations.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not just hosting a website.
No,
It's doing all the work behind the scenes, too.
it's like the whole package.
But we all know those e-commerce sites can get slammed with traffic.
Oh, yeah, especially during big sales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How does App Engine deal with that?
Well, remember that automatic scaling we talked about?
Yeah.
That's where it really shines as more and more people come to your site.
Right.
App Engine just starts up more instances to handle all the traffic.
Wow, so my website won't crash.
Nope, it'll just keep running smoothly.
That's so important for those businesses.
It is happy customers mean more sales.
Okay, let's change gears a bit.
Okay.
Imagine we are developing a mobile game.
All right.
How does App Engine help with that?
Well, games need to be fast.
Right.
Nobody wants to play a laggy game.
Yeah.
App Engine can host your game's servers, manage users, store game progress, even power those real-time multiplayer features.
So it can handle all of that.
Yeah, it's like the heart of the game, keeping everything running smoothly.
What happens when the game gets super popular?
Right, well, that's where the scaling comes in again.
Yeah.
It can handle a ton of players all at the same time.
And all those diagnostic tools we talked about,
Right.
those help the developers make sure the game is running well. Right.
Yeah, they can see if anything is slowing the game down and fix it.
Okay, let's move on to something a little more serious.
Okay,
Let's talk about data analysis.
all right.
Businesses need to analyze all sorts of data, but it can be really tough to manage.
It can be.
So how does App Engine help with that?
Well, App Engine can do all the hard work. It can
Yeah.
process data, run algorithms, create reports, even build those interactive dashboards so people can really see the data.
So it's like the brains of the operation.
Yeah, pretty much. It takes all that data and makes it understandable.
But what about security?
Right. Well, security is super important, especially when you're dealing with sensitive business data.
Yeah.
App Engine has those built-in features like we talked about.
Yeah.
So only the right people can access the data.
It sounds like App Engine can really change the way businesses use data.
It can make things way more efficient and secure.
Now, we've seen how versatile App Engine is,
Uh-huh.
but are there times when it's not the right choice?
Yeah, there are a few.
Okay, like what?
Well, if your app needs like really specific hardware
Okay.
or operating system configurations that App Engine doesn't support, then you might need to look at other options.
So if you have a really unique situation,
Right.
App Engine might not be the best fit.
Yeah, and if you need super fast, real-time data processing,
Okay. There are other platforms that are better suited for that.
so you really have to know what your application needs.
You do,
Yeah.
and you need to know what your team is capable of.
Well, we've covered so much today about Google App Engine.
We have. It's been a deep dive for sure.
We talked about all the features, the benefits, and how it's being used.
Yeah.
I hope we've cleared up some of the mystery around this platform
I hope so.
and given you some ideas of what you can do with it. So, what will you build with App Engine? There are so many possibilities. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, happy coding.